Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
In our continuing research into various issues and items that affect all of us, we have found this. A recent study has found that women who carry a little extra weight live longer than the men who mention it. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Call in, call in. Good morning, good morning. Oh, I love that lady. Kate Smith. I wish she were back here with us and singing more songs. What a powerful voice. Good morning, everybody. Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch. And, of course, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers like Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Call them at 734-6969. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jerry, by the way, a real quick note, you and your lovely wife, Rose, are celebrating an anniversary today. Happy anniversary.
Well, it's not today, it's tomorrow, but we will be celebrating it tomorrow.
Well, give me credit for being early.
You are pretty good at even knowing about it.
All right, buddy. God bless you.
There's another person in southern Idaho that knows it besides me and my wife and maybe my kid.
All right. Well, God bless you, Jerry. Thank you so much for calling in. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Lord bless you and your whole audience.
He has. Thank you, sir. Hey, it is time for the weather, and the weather is brought to everybody this hour by Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for that blue door. Carpet and flooring, kitchen construction, home decor items, whatever you need to make your house a home. I talked to Kyle yesterday, as a matter of fact. He thought I was calling him up to give him a hard time about the Seahawks losing. No, I had a very legitimate question. And by golly, I'll tell you, you'd better make sure that you stop in and see them today. They have everything, all your home decor items, and great ideas for the renovation of your home. Boy, I mean, they are great with all the different rooms and the lighting and everything. Cheney Flooring and Home Design in Burley. Look for that blue door. Right now, here's the weather.
Enjoy today because looks like weather could be changing in our area as we are experiencing a winter weather warning beginning for tonight. But for today, it looks like occasional snow showers just before 11 a.m., some areas of patchy freezing fog as well. Looking at a high of 24, winds out of the east, right around 5 to 8 miles an hour. For tonight, partly cloudy skies with a low right around 6. Wind chill values could mean it's as low as -7. 30% chance of snow showers for tomorrow, mostly after 11 o'clock in the morning, looking at a high right near 33. And then for Wednesday night, snow showers likely mixed with freezing rain, becoming all snow after 11 o'clock in the evening for Wednesday night. Thursday, more snow showers in the forecast with a high of 36. So batten down the hatches and be prepared for another winter storm. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, my goodness. I thought I was done with that. Snow flowers and everything else. Snow showers, not flowers. Anyway, thank you very much to our weather. Wheels, are you right there by your microphone?
I am, sir.
Is Gina still there?
She is not, but if you'll give me maybe just a minute or two, I can go grab her.
Yeah, I want to talk to her real quick. Don't forget the weather brought to you this hour by Cheney Flooring and Home Design. 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. Give them a call at 678-6945. Don't forget Thursday sale day at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley. Merv, May, Cade, Rogge, and Lance Udy, all of them working for you. That's right. Call this number, 678-9411. 678-9411 for cattle consignment information, sale information. They are good. They work for you. The Burley Livestock Sale Yard. Sale at 10:30 on Thursday. Don't you miss it, okay? By the way, I also want to say thank you very much to our dear friends. I've got a whole bag of clothes to get into Daryl's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Oh, yeah, dry cleaning. Oh, they're the best. I've been using them for years and years, especially when I was rodeoing really hard and going all over the United States and Canada. My goodness, my clothes always looked brand spanking new. Don't forget, you can pick up a gift card, give it to somebody in your family, and they'll take care of all those rumply crumplies, and they'll look pretty doggone sharp. At Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You stop in and see them today. I think I hear the breathing of a woman over at the studio. Right, Gina?
I am here for you. What's going on, mister?
Hey, I was just curious. I really enjoyed your weather forecast. You do such a phenomenal job. But for a person that has a hard time navigating on the surfaces that change from dry to icy to snow to you name it what, how much snow are we supposed to get that really will accumulate?
Well, according to the National Weather Service, we are in a winter storm watch right now. And the snow is not supposed to hit us until Wednesday afternoon, mostly Wednesday evening and Thursday. Now, we are expecting anywhere from 10 to 12 inches if you live above the 8,000-foot mark. So 8,000 feet in elevation or above, expecting 10 to 12 inches. Other than that, lower elevations like us, we're expecting about 5 to 8 inches of snow.
Why?
Well, that's a great question. I could ask Mother Nature. I'm not sure exactly why, but this storm is pretty much affecting all of Idaho if you can watch it move through. And so Boise, the Treasure Valley, it's just going to kind of move through our area, and we are expecting another dump of snow. So they're saying Burley, Rupert, Hayburn, Stanley, Clayton, Malad City, Oakley, Rockland, Haley, Ketchum, Bellevue. Those are the areas that are going to be hit the most. Probably, I'm assuming you, since you're just a hop, skip, and a jump outside of Burley because you're in Murtaugh. So, this winter storm warning, it's a Pacific storm that's going to bring in significant snow and ice to southeastern Oregon, southwestern Idaho late tonight, and then it's going to be moving its way through southeastern Idaho as we get on into Wednesday and Thursday. So it's just kind of pushing its way to the east. So I guess be prepared.
I have never had anybody refer to me as a hop, skip, and a jump.
I've seen you hop, skip, and jump before.
Only when necessary or in view of having great pain bestowed upon my body.
Yes, pretty much so. But, if you're planning on traveling, if anybody's planning on traveling, later on this week, maybe Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, really, you might want to seriously reconsider that or leave early. And make sure that you're very well prepared for driving in winter weather because it's going to get nasty.
Thanks an awful lot. I mean, I'm so appreciative to hear that because freezing rain and then snow on top of it, I'll be making fat little pudgy angels in the driveway.
It's this last storm that we had. I don't know what it's like at your house, but I know that at my house, when everything melted really, really quickly and we had all of that standing water, well, that standing water then turned into ice, a thick sheet of ice, And so everybody's ice skating out there.
Yeah.
And so it did make for difficult driving conditions. So I've been having to drive my truck around, my brother and I. And it's just not fun. It's not fun.
Well, the other day, there was hardly all the ice had diminished from my driveway to the point where I could get out of my house. You know where I live. You've been here many times. And get all the way out.
Dip, too.
Huh?
You're down in a dip. I mean, because you come off the highway into your driveway, and you're downhill.
Are you saying I might be a little dippy?
Well, you might have a slight slope there.
No, but all the ice had almost gone to the point where I could get out and start walking again and everything and not have to worry about slip sliding. There was one little patch of ice. It was no bigger than the size of a football. And yours truly was not paying attention. And in midair, I thought, oh, this is going to hurt.
No.
Yeah.
And I've had a couple of close calls, just kind of walking around. So when I'm walking, I literally walk like 2 inches at a time.
Yeah, I shuffle.
Very good forward progress.
I shuffle like that one cartoon, and I can't think of what cartoon it is, where the guy just never picks his feet off the floor. He just shuffles like on that Laugh-In character. Remember him?
I do, as a matter of fact, and I can't remember the character's name. But, yeah, we do have that Pacific storm moving in, and it's going to kind of pack a wallop to our area. So
all right, Gina.
Travel, please don't.
All right, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Have a good day. Thanks.
You too.
Hey, I've talked long enough. I got to get some words in here, and they include Denny's Restaurant. We're going to be over at Denny's this Thursday for Lunch Bunch. Our thanks. Deanne, would you make me a list of all those great sponsors for our drawings, if you would, please? Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland and Burley, and 291 Pole Line in Twin Falls. Well, we're going to be over at the Burley location for our lunch bunch on Thursday at 11:30. You can go in anytime and enjoy a great breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever. Nice people, great people, and a menu that'll knock your socks off delicious at Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland and Burley. Yep, they are America's Diner. Want to also remind you about Ramsey Heating and Electric. Oh, my goodness sakes, these are nice people. They've been with us since we started saddling this horse on this program 16, 17 years ago. Thank you very much, Ramsey Heating and Electric, for all your heating and electrical needs and your furnace filters to make sure that old furnace in the basement just keeps on working properly. They've got it all for you at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Number to call. They'll have your order on the counter waiting for you, 678-0459. Open 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Ramsey Heating and Electric. I'm not going to hold back my anger for these people, and I'm not going to hold back my verbiage and try to not say something as really how I feel. I think it's about time. This is a classic story for getting a hold of these absolutely worthless young millennials, and it's time to cuff them and drag them off. I don't know if you heard about this video that came out by left-wing activists. And I'm not making this up. This is a real news story. I can verify everything. I always do on every story on my program that came out from one of the most reputable news sources in Washington, D.C. with my friends. Chuck Ross posted this story at the Daily Caller. Left-wing activists are plotting to use butyric acid at various Trump events for the inauguration. Now, in case you're not aware of what butyric acid is, it's a stink bomb. And they're going to be trying to put these in the HVAC heating systems at various events in Washington, D.C. for the inauguration balls. Now, the stink bombs with butyric acid would absolutely ruin all the outfits that they're wearing, the gowns, the tuxedos, the suits, etc., and absolutely cause chaos, because once it's in the system and it goes to every floor, i.e. like in a hotel, everybody has to evacuate, and they have to go in at great expense and get rid of the absolutely putrid smell. And these left-wing activists, I saw the video. I listened to what they had to say. And they're absolutely trying to do this. They said, if you had a pint of butyric acid, this is a quote that's on the video. If you had a pint of butyric acid, I don't care how big the building is, it's going to close down. Here's what this young punk, Luke Kuhn, had to say. The message has to be, we do not recognize the city government either. If you try to close us down, we will look for your house and we will burn it. This is a direct threat to human beings and their lifestyles and their property. If you try to close us down, we will look for your house and we will burn it. We will physically fight the police if they try to steal one of our places. We will go to war and you will lose. This is a direct threat. These young punks are worthless, and it's about time to start cracking heads and putting these punks in jail, and I don't care if they rot. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. We have this black band that's going to be over at the inauguration. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, but wait a minute, Tony. I'm talking about another subject right now that I'm not going to skip on right now. I'm talking about this butyric acid that these punks want to put in various heating systems at various hotels, and I want to stay on point with that right now.
Okay, I was just talking about the security on these black band that's coming, and I think it's tied in with what you're talking about.
Well, I know it is, but first of all, address this issue. These young punks are absolutely shameless. They will do anything, and they are sticking it in our face, and they're saying, hey, we don't care, come get us. What kind of an attitude is that? And isn't it time, Tony, honestly, to not be naive and not just sit back and take it? It's time to break some skulls and go after these people.
Well, they're homegrown terrorists, and they should be treated as such. The police should be out in full force when these guys show up, put them in prison, and have no mercy on them.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a threat to absolutely hurt people, and all of a sudden there could be a riot and people are running out in the street, people could get hurt. And this message saying that, well, if you try to close us down, we'll look for your house and we'll burn it, and then we'll physically fight the police if they try to stop us. Tony, this is America, and it's about time that we went back to the rule of law, and I want to make this emphatically clear, I have no compassion for these young, worthless punks.
Well, you have to unchain the police. That's where it's all at right now. The police have got their hands tied, and they're more concerned about lawsuits and losing their jobs and being injured and shot.
Let me ask you one quick question, my dear friend. Where is Obama? Where are the Democrats speaking out against this possible violence and this absolute mess that these punks are planning? Why aren't they speaking out against this issue?
Well, they're going underground. They want to see all this happen against Trump. They don't care.
Yeah.
They're mad because they lost their socialist standing. They see the Democratic Party going deeper and deeper. And they'll do anything to subvert this inauguration.
I want to get more calls on this. Tony, I always respect you and Mary. God bless you, man. And I'm going to be talking about that marching band in about 10 minutes. So God bless you. I thank you for your call. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
All right, buddy. You know, I don't know about the rest. And I'm going to take a lot of heat over this. Oh, you're advocating violence. Oh, you're advocating somebody beating up somebody else. Let me be very clear. Yes, I am. This is beyond the pale. When these punks, these absolute worthless left-wing activist punks, are planning to use something that could devastate property, devastate people, maybe even cause illness, severe illness, and death, and they're sticking their nose out and saying, well, you can't do anything about it, And if you try to close this down, we will look for your house and we'll burn it and we'll physically fight the police. Don't you think it's about time that we said bunk right on the forehead and drag those punks off to jail? Caller, I'll be right there. I got to pay some bills. Don't hang up on me. I'll be right with you. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Nick Greenwell, physical therapist, and all the physical therapists there. They really want to help you get back to being you. With all the exercises, all the sports medicine, and that fantastic hydrotherapy pool. I've been in there many, many times. It really helps. Call for an appointment today at 678-1191. That number again, 678-1191, to have the best help you. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Real quick, caller, I'm a-coming. Just hang on. Barry Equipment and Rental with 3 locations, Jerome, Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Juan, if you're listening, holler at me, man. I need to talk to you, and they have all the equipment to get the job done right. Don't forget, they've got 0% interest on 48 months on used Bobcat rental equipment that they're selling. Woo-hoo, you better check that out today. Equipment rentals, retail equipment sales at the best. Barry Equipment and Rental, Jerome, Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Caller, you're very patient. Thank you. God bless. Have a good morning. You're on.
Yeah, Zed. Hey, talking about the young punk kids and stuff. I'm number one. This is Bill Adams, and I'm here to tell you, when they took the power away from the teachers and the principals, and they took the boot away from the parents, so to speak. I mean, don't get me wrong. That's a slippery slope with the child abuse and the list goes on. But heck already, there's only one person that's going to take and discipline these children or these young punks, as you say. And that is the judicial system, one way or another. It's a sad situation. Everything should, and like you always say, you know, the way things used to be is the way things should be today. That's so true. And I had my encounter years ago now with my oldest daughter in the grocery store when I spanked her bottom. And it wasn't no child abuse, but there was an older lady looking at me, and I says, you know what, sis? I don't care who sees me do it. Gosh darn it, you need to straighten up. And I'll tell you what, it does start at home as far as I'm concerned. And it's a sad deal. And again, it's a very slippery slope because there are ignorant butt heads, whether it's a principal, a teacher, or a parent, that's abused these children and stuff. I mean, it's tough. But you're seeing a lot more of these kids get away with a lot of stuff that should have been taken care of at home at a younger age.
I could not agree with your verbiage whatsoever. I absolutely agree with everything you say, I should say. Listen to this quote from one of these people that wants to do this damage. Quote, "We left with confidence that we can accomplish our objective with no negative consequences for our side, nor any collateral damage." In other words, they have been so mollycoddled and so pampered and poo-pooed by the police and everybody else because they can't be touched. It's time to take the gloves off and drag these people by the hair to a paddy wagon, lock them up. I am sick and tired of the vermin in our society controlling our society. Would you agree?
I'd agree 110%, Zeb. And one more thing I want to say is those particular butthead kids or poop sticks, as you want to say on the radio, I'm not necessarily mad at them. I'm mad at their parents.
Yeah.
Like no tomorrow.
I agree with you, and I thank you so much for calling in. Thank you.
Thank you, Zeb.
I'm incensed about this. I mean, people are dressing up. And they're going to the various dances and ballrooms, etc., to honor and have fun and have an entertaining evening as the new administration is issued in. Something that has happened in this country for many, many years. And then these worthless vermin come out, these left-wing activists, and they go on a video. And they say that they're going to disrupt everything and use this acid that would destroy these various functions. And we sit back and go, oh, gee, these poor young people, why, I wonder what's the matter. Baloney. I said it, and I'm going to stand behind it. It's time to bring out those little billy clubs and use them wherever they may hit. Drag them into a paddy wagon and get them off to jail. I'm fed up with what's going on in this country, with the mollycoddling of the left. Maybe you disagree. Maybe some of you do. Maybe some of you are so mad at me. Oh, he's advocating violence. You're damn right I am. Because these people are disrupting a civil society. Don't forget Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids with the lovely Dr. Christine Pickup. I mean, this lady knows all about hearing, and I really urge you to get a hearing screening. I did. She helped me. She can help you. And they'll review all your medications and anything and everything that might pertain to a hearing loss. She can help and will by calling 312-0957. Right across from the Minidoka Hospital Emergency Room, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Please call her today at 312-0957. You know, there's a lot of you people in the audience that when the program's over, and I give you out my telephone number, my cell phone number, I don't care if you call me, but it seems like the ones that want to chase me around the building and yell and scream at me always call after the show. Well, I wish they had the same courage to call me during the program and go on the air. One person called me one time here about a year or so ago, and I said, why don't you call me on the air? Well, I don't want to be on the radio. Somebody might recognize my voice. What? Is that the cowardice that is permeated on the left when they don't agree with me? Well, I don't want to go on the air because somebody might recognize my voice. What cowards? Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. Tony called just a few moments ago and mentioned about the Talladega Marching Band in Alabama. And this is another story that has got me just hotter than a July 19th firecracker 2 weeks after the fact. I mean, I'm just livid about this. This band, historically black college, Talladega College, is Alabama's oldest private, historically black liberal arts college, and they are excellent. They are great musicians, and they are absolutely a thrilling marching band to watch. I mean, I'm not into bands and that type of thing, but wow, when they come on television, I've seen them be on TV at various halftimes, etc. before, and they are really something. High steppers, and they get the job done. Well, they accepted an invitation to perform at Donald Trump's inaugural parade. But, oh my goodness, they were looking for the money to go to the inauguration event. They didn't have the money. And so a couple of people, and I got to give Bill O'Reilly credit and others credit, they really put out the word, hey, come on, help this band go to the inauguration because they're so good. Well, they've got the money, and they're going to be there, but then the plot has thickened. Angry left Democrats are absolutely horrified to hear that the band wants something to do that these kids will remember for the rest of their life, marching and playing at an inauguration. Oh, they've come after them, and a few of the alumni have threatened to return their college degrees because of the band's decision? And then one person, Shirley Farrell of Fairfield, Alabama, class of 74, said, Oh, we're horrified to hear of this invitation and the acceptance. I don't want my alma mater to give the appearance of supporting Donald Trump. Ignore, decline, or whatever, but please don't send our band out in our name to do that. How deplorable. How absolutely repulsive the liberal left. The college, Talladega College, was founded in 1867 by the descendants of slaves who helped build its first building, according to historical documents on the college website. And the decision to march in Donald Trump's inaugural parade has also sparked controversy at Marist College in Poughkeepsie, New York. The band will be marching, but some of the members have decided, no, I'm going to stay home. I don't like Donald Trump. No, I'm not going to go. Bunch of wussies and pansies. And Donald Trump is absolutely going to be the next 45th president of the United States. And all of this revolting activity and speech and drawing away from and condemning other people by the Democrats has got to stop. Our country is more divided than ever. And I point my finger at Barack Hussein Obama. Where is he? Where are any of the Democrats standing up and saying this is absolutely vile what you're doing? There's going to be a transition of power, as has happened in this country for all the years. And where is this big, toothy grin, big-eared man? He's not standing up and saying anything. Nor are any of the Democrats. And I just absolutely point my finger at them. I am going to try to get a hold of Sally Boynton Brown, the new executive director of the state of Idaho Democrats, and get her on this program. Very politely, we are going to try to get her on and ask her how in the world you can espouse a platform of hate and dissension. I'm going to see if she'll come on. This is just absolutely beyond the pale, what they are doing. Calls welcome, 436-2244. Does it bother you? Call me. Let me know, please. I mean, I know there's a lot of good people in my audience. You got to call me and let me know your thoughts on this. I mean, this country is divided more so than ever before. And who did the damage? What party? What group? Answer that. Snake River Auto Body and Paint, 404 4th Avenue West in Twin Falls. Caller, I'll be right there. Kenny and Dan, the whole crew at Snake River Auto Body and Paint, 734-5790. Got a little ding in your four-wheeled wonder, huh, Bunky? Well, it doesn't look good, so you better get it taken care of. And these people are the best. They'll get an estimate for you and schedule for repair, and your four-wheeled wonder will look brand spanking new. I know because they've done it for me more than once. Snake River Auto Body and Paint, 404 4th Avenue West in Twin Falls, 734-5790. You get a hold of them today. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir. Yeah, that marching band from Talladega, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you know, I admire them, but the people that are pushing against it, and you're wondering why we're so divided, all you got to look is who was at the helm for the last 8 years.
Yep.
You got to look at who visited the White House almost on a daily basis. Mr. Al Sharpton. You know, so that's why we're where we're at.
Yeah, but Doug, wait a minute. Let's back up to the beginning of a lot of this, the Democrats, these dim Democrats, 42 of them. 42 of them now are going to boycott the inauguration. I want to pose a little problem to you. I have. If 42 Democrats, and the list is growing, are going to boycott the inauguration, doesn't that show you, answer this honestly, doesn't that show you that the Democrats are a party of whiners and losers, and it's either going to be my way or I'm going to take my football and go home? Because I remember vividly, and tell me if I'm wrong on this, Doug, I remember vividly in 2008 and 2012 with Obama, the Republicans did not boycott whatsoever. Am I wrong?
No, they didn't. They're the grown-up in the group. The Democrats act like school children, like you say. But the Democrats are supposed to be the party of tolerance. You got to be tolerant. But you only got to be tolerant if you agree with what they say.
That's it. That's right.
If you don't agree with that, then you are xenophobic, racophobic, you're any name in the book.
Yeah.
try to degrade you.
Yeah.
They have nothing to stand on.
While I have you on the phone, I have got to have you address this issue with these left-wing activists, these punk kids that are absolutely worthy of a severe butt-kicking because of what they want to do with butyric acid at various Trump events. I'm not making this up. I read this, saw the video, and I'll guarantee you I was so mad I wanted to punch my computer. What are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts is they need to be met with the stiff arm of the law. If you have a right to free speech, you can say things you want, what you want, but you cannot scream fire in a theater.
Yeah, but wait a minute. Stop right there. But
the point I'm trying to make is these guys are making threats.
Yeah.
Not just voicing their opinion. They're making a threat against people.
That's right.
That should be looked into. That should be brought up on charges, because I can't make a threat against somebody, and it's not right.
When you come out and you blatantly say, and this was on the video, the message has to be, we do not recognize the city government. If you try to close us down, we will look for your house. We will burn it. We will physically fight the police if they try to steal one of our places. We will go to war, and you will lose. To me, that's a pretty doggone blatant attack on people that are God-fearing, peace-loving people, and it's a threat that needs to be taken care of.
It is a threat, and that's all it is. And I'm hoping and praying it's an idle threat. I really am. I think I hope they're just doing this to scare somebody. I hope they don't follow through with it, because heaven forbid if somebody gets hurt or killed.
Yeah, but wait a minute, Doug. Here's the thing. This butyric acid, I'm sure you remember from high school, et cetera, what it is. The smell is so putrid that if it gets into like a heating vent or a series of heating vents, or is let go at one of the ballrooms, et cetera, the clothing, everything has to be destroyed, and it's absolutely going to be a cost factor. Not only mentioning what happens if one of those little stink bombs goes off and the running out of a building, the absolute chaos, somebody gets injured, breaks a leg, or even worse. I mean, I tell you what, I want this video checked out. I want these absolute worthless vermin young punks arrested. I just want it stopped.
I do. And I also want it looked into who is financing them.
Yeah.
I mean, that is, if you're financing a group to do something like that, you are inciting a riot, which is against the law.
Absolutely.
And I've also read, too, that there's been some ads in some underground papers for paying protesters to protest the inauguration.
Yeah.
From groups. So it's sad. It really is sad. But in 4 years, I want to see where they stand when their pocketbooks are fatter, their bank accounts are better, and see what they say then. See what he's done wrong when he's made everything so much better.
Yeah, but you know something? Never on this program, up until this story this morning, have I ever advocated violence. But I'm telling you, Doug, and I mean this to anybody out there in the audience that wants to criticize me, it's time to not mamby-pamby these punks anymore. They've got to learn that if you make an assertion or a threat and follow through with it, there's going to be some physical retribution against you.
Right. You're free to make choices, but you're not free from the consequences.
Amen. Doug, God bless you, man. Thank you.
Can I put a big thank you out to Derry for donating some beef to a senior center?
Real quick.
P-Bar S.
Okay.
Told me yesterday, and they took some meat in and donated it to the senior center in Rupert, and I want to give them a big thank you.
Well, absolutely. I know those people out there. Good folks. Good folks.
Yes.
All
Yes,
right. Take care, Doug. Thank you very much. Caller, go ahead quickly. You're on the air. I'll do the weather after your call.
Okay, thanks, Zeb. Thanks for taking me. This is Clarence again. I would like to say, well, first of all, I'd like to ask you, have you seen the movie
Amerigeddon?
No, I missed it, and quite frankly, I felt like I really missed out on something. I did not see it, no.
Oh, yeah. It is, I mean, it's true to form. We're going there. It's already headed that direction, the way that things are going. And second of all, I would like to make an announcement to all Democrats. Hey, get your head out of here. No, you know what? Swallow and take what you're being handed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have Hillary change your diaper and kick her behind, because we're done with you.
I appreciate that, and I think that basically stands on its own. Thank you very much for your call. God bless you. I got to get a weather forecast in here, sir. God bless. Call again.
Okay, Zeb.
All right, thank you. You know, that's really the truth. I put the plea out many times on this program, and I'll do it again right now. If there's Democrats or leadership of the Democratic Party that have the backbone and the spine to stand up and come on this program, I would love to have you call. You'll be treated in a very polite fashion as we talk about your platform, we talk about what you back and stand for. But I can't find anybody that has the courage. And I've been putting that plea out on this program for quite some time. It's time for the weather, and the weather brought to you by the Riverview Urgent Cares at 382 North Overland in Burley, Twin Falls Urgent Care, 2392 Addison Avenue East in Twin, and Jerome Urgent Care at 133 West Avenue A in Jerome. Open 7 days a week, and they can help you with all of life's little pitfalls and problems like fevers and cuts and lacerations and maybe a fall that needs an x-ray, whatever. They can help. They will help. They are great. Minor emergencies, major care at the Urgent Cares. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Enjoy today, because looks like weather could be changing in our area as we are experiencing a winter weather warning beginning for tonight. But for today, looks like occasional snow showers just before 11 a.m. Some areas of patchy freezing fog as well. Looking at a high of 24, winds out of the east right around 5 to 8 miles an hour. For tonight, partly cloudy skies with a low right around 6. Wind chill values could mean it's as low as -7. 30% chance of snow showers for tomorrow, mostly after 11 o'clock in the morning, looking at a high right near 33. And then for Wednesday night, snow showers likely mixed with freezing rain, becoming all snow after 11 o'clock in the evening for Wednesday night. Thursday, more snow showers in the forecast with a high of 36. So batten down the hatches and be prepared for another winter storm. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Ay. Be careful out there, folks, please. Winter is hitting us hard. And, of course, our weather brought to you by Riverview Urgent Care in Burley, Twin Falls Urgent Care in Twin, and Jerome Urgent Care in Jerome. Minor emergencies, major care. You be sure and stop in and see them today. You know, I'm sitting here and I was chuckling while Gina was doing the weather, because I know beyond the shadow of a doubt, the left and the Democrats in this area, they'll always call my number 312-2976. I'll say it again, because they will call 312-2976 and criticize me after the program. But please, I understand. You're afraid somebody might hear you. Let's see, what else did I want to mention? Oh, and speaking of an interview on television that was absolutely must-see TV, and I give Tucker Carlson kudos. He remained a gentleman. He asked very polite, poignant questions, and oh my, did Jamoo Green ever fidget and fuss and lose her cool last night. I was watching the show, I was in and out of the living room, and I was getting some things done for this morning's program. And I heard the conversation with Jamoo Green, and she is the epitome of a Democrat that has skin so thin that she is ready to go from 0 to 60 on the thermometer as far as losing her temper quicker than anybody I've ever seen. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Zeb, helping you out a little on that deal you was talking about. They ought to take, if they knew, like you say, if they know, they ought to load them up and put Obama and that Clinton, and don't forget that other Clinton either. And Democrats are so much in favor of crime, and that's all they're doing is supporting crime.
Yeah.
You ought to load all them up, just like they did them Syrians, and just put them in here. They ought to apply them some of the bucks to Cuba, that prison we got over there in Cuba. And then when the next one releases them terrorists over there, they ought to release them with them and send them to the country they're going to. Get them out of here.
Everybody has a right in our country, and I know you agree with this, sir, even though I agree with your anger and your angst. But you know as well as I do that people have a right to say what they feel in a free speech society. But I draw the line when I hear of threats that might hurt someone, threats that might damage property, threats that might close down a legal event, and it's time to go in and let the police take off the gloves and go after these people and clean these rats' nests out. Thank you for your call. I really appreciate it. God bless you. You're a good man. Good man. People are frustrated. I know a lot of my friends that have absolutely had it, and they said enough is enough. Let's get America back and growing again, prospering again, and trying to unify again. And this Obama administration has done nothing for 8 years to bring the races together. Quite the opposite. Especially the opposite. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your call, don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations absolutely serving you with the best of your winter tires. And it sounds like you better get in there today if you haven't got your traction tires. We're going to get a whole bunch more angel dandruff falling in this area, and you need your snow and ice tires, your yuck and your muck tires. I mean, go in there and talk to them about it today. Don't put it off. And also the use of the tire chains. They got a neat little brochure called the Winter Driving Resource Guide that gives you all kinds of great information. And don't forget, too, they've got the best in brake service, front-end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries. Oh, boy, be sure to have your battery checked. And just stop in for the best in service and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, the best. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'd like you to give me a call and let me know your thoughts on this. One other quick note here this morning, and I really mean this also. The television commercials that you see, and I start to cry literally almost every time I see some of these kids for the St. Jude's Children's Hospital commercials and others. They are heartbreaking, with kids that are just fighting for their lives and fighting for a better life. But it made me think the other night of all the waste of money that is going to millions of deadbeats in our country that are milking and bilking the system for money because they're too lazy to get up and go to work and be responsible. And here are these kids where all that money that's going to the deadbeats, that could be returned and possibly used for more research to save some of those children's lives. Those kids would have, I think, in my opinion, more of a chance with more money for research and finding cures. All the more reason I'm in favor of going file by file by file, name by name by name, and researching who the deadbeats are and getting them out of the system. Sink or swim, baby, you're on your own. Those commercials are heartbreaking. And I think of all the money that is going to perhaps some deadbeat to put his feet up on the coffee table, eat bonbons, and sit there and watch reruns of Andy of Mayberry. And I say enough is enough. We've got better uses for that money. And the kids are much better use to save their lives. We're going to take a little break, and again, I want to say happy anniversary tomorrow, so I don't forget, to Jerry and Rose Voss. Nice people. Coming up next hour, Frosty Woldridge from Golden, Colorado. And then at 9:30, we're going to talk to a guy that I have the utmost respect for. He and his wife are heavily involved in the potato industry and have been for a long time, and that's Randy Hardy out at Oakley. And 10:06, Dr. History. 10:30, a story about the wolves in Oregon, comparable to what happened here with Pacific Legal Foundation attorney Caleb Trotter. Don't miss that. I'm going to take a little break. I'll be back in 7 minutes. Wheels, take it away. Oh, my goodness, here we go. Hour number 2 on a Tuesday already, January 17th. Good morning, I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers, like Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Hey, don't forget about, along with the garbage collection and the dumpsters and the porta potties, they've got the Go Minis, the portable storage units. And oh my goodness, I've been going around the country seeing a lot of those portable storage units. You can keep them right on your property or have them stored at Western Waste. I'm telling you, these are great. Check it out today. Call them at 734-6969. Always at your disposal, Western Waste Services. By the way, too, don't forget, every morning when we start the program, we started off with our weather forecast, sponsored by Cheney Flooring and Home Design. Really nice people. All your carpet and flooring, kitchen construction, they're good. Home decor items, whatever you need to make your house a home. Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. We'll have our guest, my old buddy, in just a minute, Frosty Woldridge, but I also want to remind you about people that have warm hearts for cold noses. Ark Animal Hospital, Dr. Bill, Dr. Liz, the whole crew, they are really concerned people, and it's a mixed animal practice, meaning big or small, they love them all, and they want all your pets, all your livestock to be healthy, so please call them at 678-1177, 678-1177, Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street in Hayburn. You know, I got so much to talk to this man about this morning. We're going to get right to it. Good morning, Frosty Woldridge in Golden, Colorado. How are you, sir?
Good morning, Zeb. And just a quick note, this is the last Monday that the Barack Obama dude will be allowed in the White House, to live in the White House. So I'm celebrating this as the last Monday of Barack Obama in American politics. Amen to that.
Yeah, but you meant to say Tuesday, didn't you?
Oh yeah, well, I was thinking Monday, my brain is still hooked on Monday. So this is the last Tuesday that Barack Obama will be in the White House.
Okay.
It's so exciting. Really, obviously, across the country, there's this extraordinary rebirth, renewal, and rejuvenation of the American people. And wow, I'm just like, I'm telling you, I don't get this excited this often, but I'm really excited to know that this week and this coming Friday will be a change for America toward a better future.
You know, Frosty, I want to get into your latest piece that you wrote about the perfect storm descending upon America, sociological impact, etc. But please bear with me a minute. I've got to talk to you about this. Last hour, I was absolutely cowboy mad when I heard, and I had this story sent to me by Chuck Ross of the Daily Caller back in D.C., and I watched the video. The video is there to watch about these left-wing activists that are plotting to use butyric acid at Trump inaugural events, the different dances, etc., and dump that butyric acid in the heating element systems or pour it on people or whatever and destroy the event. Frosty, I am incensed that these young punks, they need a good billy club to the forehead and dragged by the hair to the paddy wagon. This is absolutely crazy what they're advocating to do.
Well, once again, you have these different individuals who have truly never read the U.S. Constitution. They don't have any concept of a constitutional republic, and they fail to understand that when they don't get their way, they simply have to abide by the majority, and that's what has happened. And to speak with them is almost impossible. It's like Elizabeth Warren trying to make common sense with her. She doesn't have a common sense bone in her body. You look at John Lewis, the congressman from Georgia, who since 1987 has absolutely done nothing in the Black Caucus, has done nothing in the state of Georgia to further African Americans and to bring jobs to African Americans. He's not introduced one bill to further his fellow African Americans. But boy, he's telling us that Trump is not a legitimate president. He's telling us that he's not going to attend. And what's really amazing to me is this. This is America. And like it or not, President Donald Trump is our new president, and everyone should be supporting him. You know, to not support him is like hoping that your plane that you're flying in falls into the ocean because you're hoping that the pilot fails.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? You're riding the plane. So the reality is that all African Americans, all Asian Americans, every stripe and color should really be promoting and supporting Donald Trump because he's the new captain of this airplane. He's the new captain of America. And we need to wish him the very best and support him to make this country move forward here in the 21st century.
Listen to one of the quotes of these young punks, Frosty, and respond to it. A punk by the name of Luke Kuhn was on the YouTube screen, and he said, "The message has to be, we do not recognize the city government either. If you try to close us down, we will look for your house and we will burn it. We will physically fight the police if they try to steal one of our places. We will go to war and you will lose." That's a pretty blatant threat, isn't it, Frosty, my friend?
Well, and for everyone listening today, please go to newswithviews.com. You'll see my face right there in the top. And I'm writing a 4-part series. It's called The Perfect Storm Descending Upon America. And Part 2 published today. You can get Part 1 was published last Friday. And it really describes in Part 2 the sociological impact of mass immigration and the fracturing and the fragmenting of cultures. And I really bring author Samuel P. Huntington's book, The Clash of Civilizations, to the forefront, where he talks in the last line, he says, and I quote, "The fault lines between civilizations in the future will be the battle lines of the future." And, of course, we're creating a jammed-up multicultural diversity nightmare second to none, and we're going to see more and more of this cultural diversity fragmenting us and this multiculturalism fracturing us into many different pieces, and that's where you're getting characters like that making threats like that.
About page, I think it was 4, in your latest piece that you're talking about right now, you started one of the paragraphs with the following sentence, and this really hit home with me because it's happening. And I'm going to read this, and I quote, "Any culture that will not defend itself against displacement through mass immigration faces extinction." And we're on that road, Frosty.
Zeb, we are well on that road. And again, I really hope that everyone listening, and of course, you get to that piece, and the Part 4 will show you how to change the course of history by getting off that road. But whether it was the Romans, with the Vandals and the Goths and the Visigoths infiltrating the Roman Empire, coming down out of Germany and out of France and so forth, that it took them 300 years to destroy all of Rome. Well, we could see America destroyed within 50 years. And again, as I've said so many times, we're about to import 100 million more legal immigrants within 30 years from 190 different countries with 190 different views, worldviews, religions and cultures and ethos. If anybody out there thinks we're going to survive that, you've got another thing coming. That's why I've stated that we need to shut down all immigration into America.
But Frosty, it seems like the perpetrator of the chaos and the civil unrest in this country, I'm just going to come right out and say it. You can disagree with me if you want, but I don't think you will, is the Democratic Party. If Obama would get on television and say enough of this garbage is enough, or anyone, I don't care who it is in the Democratic Party, even down to Hillary Clinton, if they would just come out and say enough of this garbage and enough of this threats, enough of this saying you're going to disrupt this, Trump's the president, let's try to work together for a better unified nation. They're not doing that.
Well, guess what? I hate to break your bubble, but Barack Obama has and is the perpetrator of all of the defiance against the police in the last 8 years. He started with that, I think it was that professor there in Massachusetts who defied the police.
Right.
And he started making the police all at fault. He made the police the ones who were in the wrong. And then you started getting all of these executions of the police from New York City all the way down to Baton Rouge and all the way down to Dallas. And then you get all these Muslims that are killing off the police to 5 at a time. That was brought to you by Barack Obama. And if you look at Hillary Clinton, I mean, everything she did was to absolutely bring chaos and fracturing. And you can't even you will never see Barack Obama or Hillary getting up and say, hey, let's unify, let's pull together, because the liberal agenda is to let's tear apart, let's break apart, let's do everything we can to create chaos. And that's the real liberal agenda, and it's being manifested by Barack Obama and certainly Hillary Clinton and others like them.
Well, you know, look at what we're telling the kids. Look at what we're telling the school children of America. Oh, well, 42 Democrats are going to boycott the inauguration. Why? Because they're spoiled, loser crybabies. That's all they are. And that's telling everybody, I didn't get my way, so I'm going to go pout and I'm going to spoil America. Isn't that what we're telling our kids?
Well, that's what we're telling our kids, and of course, I think the joke on the internet right now is let's give them a participation trophy.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, the tragedy is that we are on the same airplane, if you will, and Donald Trump is the new pilot, and Mike Spence is the new co-pilot, and you better wish, you better hope, you better pray, and you better send your prayers that they pilot this United States of America toward a better future, toward better employment, to better race relations, to better immigration policies, obviously, to better enforcement of our laws, to better respect for the police of this country, because without the laws and without the police, we have anarchy. That's been proven in places like Somalia. That's been proven in places like Sudan. You're seeing the same thing happen in France. You're seeing it happen in Germany, with Berlin, Germany, with Paris, France, with Brussels, Belgium, with San Bernardino, with Chattanooga, with Fort Lauderdale just last week, with a Muslim blowing apart 5 people and injuring 8. That's anarchy, folks. We need to have a captain and a co-captain, a president and a vice president that are going to stand for the U.S. Constitution, and all of us are on this boat. We better get together. We all better be on the same page, or we're all going to see our own country literally fall out of the sky, essentially, if I can use that metaphor.
Well, you know, let me ask you this, and you do a lot of writing, I do a lot of writing with my blogs and also my other works, trying to finish that book I've been on for the last 2.5 years. But how would you define the American dream today, with all the different people coming in from various cultures trying to redefine American dream and redefine what it's like to be an American? I mean, it's starting to fade into obscurity, is it not?
Well, as I said in this piece, and I think everyone will be nodding your head when you hear this quote, on a sociological level, America, Europe, Canada, and Australia find their countries becoming everybody else's countries. whether it's the impact of cultural conflict or religious conflict or linguistic conflict, all first world countries will not survive the clash of civilizations, unquote. I wrote that, and I stand by it. You're exactly right. And I read all of your blogs also because you give me ideas, because you and I are the heartland. We're the guts. We're essentially the true grit of what's going on in America, and we're not afraid to stand up and speak out. And so, as I said, our country is becoming everybody else's country. That's why we need to shut down the borders. I don't want my country becoming another Somalia. I don't want to have Minneapolis, Minnesota, have Somalian refugees. Did you know that Ellison, that congressman from Minnesota, what he stated on, he was on Hannity, or no, he was on O'Reilly recently. Did you know he thought it was the Germans who attacked Pearl Harbor?
Oh, my goodness.
He's an idiot, and yet he's going to be ahead of the DNC, and he's a Muslim. And the prime directive of Muslims is to destroy America. That's the prime directive of Muslims. And so you have us becoming everybody else's country. And again, as I say in this four-part series, the perfect storm is that we've got the huge numbers, we've got the cultural chaos, we'll have the environmental chaos, and we simply are going to see our country literally devolve into all of this chaos. And it's already happening in Europe. I don't see how anybody doesn't see it. My brother Rex, of course, is over there in Europe. I get letters from him all the time. You know Rex very well.
Yep.
He says, Norway, Sweden, Germany, Finland, Denmark are all falling into complete Muslim chaos. It's just astounding. That's why we need a national rising up of all Americans to stop further immigration, because we're not going to survive this thing, Zeb.
Let me ask you another word that I'm offended by, and it's a terminology that I think absolutely is destroying the red, white, and blue, the fabric of our flag, and the personality of our flag of the United States, and that's the word globalization. I absolutely hate that terminology because I hate what it's doing to this country. Am I wrong?
You are correct. Globalization is nothing more than the same on an economic plane. It's like Marxist ideology. Marxism and communism don't work because they go against the natural inclination of human beings. And so globalization is, again, the same kind of domineering power that does not, cannot, and will not, in the final analysis, will not function. It will not work. It cannot work, because it goes against the natural inclination of human nature. And so, again, we have to stop globalization because it literally doesn't have the ability to do anything good for anyone, but it has all to do with elite corporate powers that want to run all of our lives. I will fight globalization to my last breath.
Let me ask you this last final thought here this morning, Frosty. You've got the Chuck Schumers, and you've got the Waters, and you've got the Clays, and you've got the liberal left, and of course, lately in the last couple of days, Representative John Lewis saying that Trump is not a validated president and shouldn't be president. I mean, the dissension and the absolute dissecting of America by the Democrats. Can we ever get this thing back together, or is it beyond hope?
At this point, being an observer of our country for the last 50 years and being a citizen journalist and seeing and reading about history, we certainly are at a point where we may lose our country. I know for an absolute historical fact that if we import another 100 million immigrants from 190 different countries here in the next 30 years, which is just three decades, which is just a blink in time, we're not going to make it. That's why everyone listening today, again, capsweb.org and of course, numbersusa.org and carryingcapacitynetwork.org, join those organizations just to give yourself collective power and give yourself collective voice. Because, again, if we don't stop this mass immigration onslaught, this juggernaut that will never end, there's no end to the line of refugees from around the world. Again, I've said many times, 80 million more net gain, new babies, brought onto the planet every year irresponsibly by third world countries and the people that do that. And we're the dumping grounds. We won't survive it. So it's either we stop it now or we are going to become the victims later. And so really historically, we're in a lot of trouble, and there's no way to escape it unless we stop mass immigration. And it's going to be rough enough as it is to try to keep all of these diverse peoples and the new Muslims coming in and trying to push their way into our form of government and our culture and our way of life and make it theirs. I mean, we're going to be seeing Sharia law get pushed on us faster and faster with the numbers keep growing. So that's kind of a short thought on what we're facing.
No, but, little by little, I'm starting to have some rays of hope shine on our parade to the point where people that I didn't think would be vocal about this are starting to stand up and say on this program and when I meet them on the street, etc., enough is enough. And we've got a problem here that's a growing cancer. And I think on the good side, people are awakening to the fact, even though we've got a very liberal and one-sided slanted news media, I think they're awakening to the fact that America's dying and we better put it on life support in a hurry.
Well, and again, in the words of my father, who was a Master Sergeant in the United States Marine Corps for 27 years, he said to me, son, when you're facing a difficult situation, he said, you got to stand up and speak out because there are 1,000 people behind you who are afraid to stand up and speak out. But when you do speak out, then you will encourage them and inspire them and give them the courage to also speak out. And so that is what you are, one of those men to speak out, Zeb. And I know there's more women out there. I know there's Deanne. She's speaking out and supporting you, and you're supporting her. And together, we're standing up. We spoke out, and we voted Donald Trump into office against all odds. And so there is hope. I'm going to stand up and speak out. I'm going to continue to speak out with you. And more Americans are going to understand that we can't keep going down this path of this mass immigration. It literally will destroy the entire ethos, the entire viability of America. And so I am excited because Donald Trump's going to build that wall or build a fence or build anything, enforce the internal laws against hiring of illegal aliens. He's going to have E-Verify come out. So we have a ray of hope, and I'm going to stand with that ray of hope, even with the knowledge that I have within me, and just say, by gosh, we're Americans. We're going to stand up for our country, for our sovereignty, for legal and laws. And really, I'm excited about that. So, yes, we do have a chance, and let's move forward with that chance by our actions and by our involvement. Again, I've said many times in the past, the worst decision you as an American can make is to think that you can do so little that you do nothing at all,
yep,
or you sit around grumbling at the dining house. You've got the tools from me and the organizations to join, and you can make a difference. So let's get out there and make a difference. And God bless Donald Trump, a man who stood up and is going to make a difference. And I'm going to stand with him, and I'm excited about next Friday, and I'm excited about 2017. So.
All right, on a lighter note to close the program, I'm simply going to say this. How about those Packers?
How about those Packers? I watched that game. I tell you what, that last pass, I know what it was called, an out dash, and Aaron Rodgers just burns that ball right into that one receiver who put his feet. Oh my God, that was exciting. That was one of the most exciting games I have seen. Congratulations to the Packers and the Wisconsin and the Cheeseheads and all that goes with it. We've got a great American, all-American celebration with the NFL and the coming of the Super Bowl. So, Yahoo 2017 and go Packers.
All right, buddy. Thank you so much, Frosty Woolridge in Golden, Colorado, a dear friend. God bless you, man. See you next week.
All right, sounds great, Zeb.
Thank you. Always enjoy having him on the program. Straightforward, Frosty Woolridge. I appreciate it. By the way, talking about straightforward, I know some folks that will talk to you in a straightforward manner and help you, always with the highest ethical standards, with unquestioned integrity. I'm talking about Joel Heward, his family, and his staff at Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. When there's the passing of a loved one, you need help to make sure that everything gets done in a very short time span. They are there to help. and they will help. And they can also travel to the rural towns and churches to help you with all the arrangements. Please call them today, 436-5636. That number again, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Thank you. The phones are ringing in the background. We're going to have our next guest with us in just a moment. Don't forget, too, our dear friends at Let's Ride. Oh, I got my snowplow on my four-wheeler. Now all I got to do is figure out how to get to my four-wheeler with all the snow and the ice they're calling for. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 5. Nice people, and I mean that. They're just flat nice people serving you where the fun is sold, whether it's on the snowmobiles, whether it's with the four-wheelers, whether it's with all the accessories, whether you need something fixed out in their service department. My goodness, they are good. Stop in, or perhaps take a little tour over that way today if you're looking for a snow machine to go out and have fun with all the angel dandruff out there. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Yes, it's true, where the fun is sold. By the way, if you're over in that neck of the woods, don't forget to our friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits. Don't you dare put all that on the back burner and say, well, I'll take care of it maybe next week. No. Protect yourself, your family, your business. Make sure that you stop. Make an appointment, 436-4424. Very dedicated and responsive to your needs. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. You know, I absolutely think this is one of the nicest people I've ever met. He and his wife are super folks. Over in Oakley, we say good morning to Randy Hardy. Good morning, Randy. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. I'm doing great.
Well, what's going on in the land of spuds?
Well, we still have potatoes to sell. We have plenty of potatoes to sell, and we're doing our best to push America's favorite vegetable and Idaho's #1 crop.
Okay, now let's talk about this at first. I received the information you sent over about the potatoes and heart health and all the other. We'll get into that momentarily. But are you, as a man that's been really dedicating his life to the promotion of the great Idaho potato and potatoes in general, are you more optimistic right now, Randy, with this change of administrations over what we've seen and what has happened over the last 8 years?
Well, I've tried to be somewhat reserved over the last few years and not be too pessimistic and attack-oriented like maybe you have been. I can't help it. Just we all breathed a collective sigh of relief after the election because it's going to change so much of our focus as a potato industry, and particularly the work I did on the National Potato Council. It seems like we spent an awful lot of time and an awful lot of money battling our own government in trying to do what we do, and that's feed the world. And I think you're going to see a lot of changes, a lot of new developments that are going to bring agriculture back to what it's meant to be.
You know, Randy, when you say that, and I'm so glad to hear you say that, but why did agriculture, all their different associations, whether it's potatoes or whether it was cattle or whether it was dairy, etc., why did we let government push us into a corner like they did?
I really can't answer that, and I think we've had this discussion before that, I've been back to USDA several times, and yeah, they're a government bureaucracy, but for the most part, they've been pretty friendly to agriculture. They have stuck up for what we want to do, but it's been the higher-ups from them. And even Secretary Vilsack has really been pretty favorable to agriculture, but, he has a boss, too, and he's had to answer to him. But, yeah, it has flowed from the top down, and, people hear that there's 4,000 political appointees in Washington, D.C., and we don't realize the magnitude that has. And so just in the Department of Agriculture, there's probably several hundred that are political appointees. So what do you think the message is going to be to those that work for them? So I think that's how it's evolved and why agriculture has been targeted with so many of these restrictions and regulations. I really don't know, except maybe we're an easy target.
Yeah.
And I guess people are are tuned in and listening to things that pertain to their food supply, and maybe a little more sensitive to it. But we've kind of caught it from all sides, from Mrs. Obama's child nutrition program and EPA and the waters of the U.S. and everything else that's come down the pike. It all seems to be pointed towards agriculture, and I'm convinced that if we would have gone through 4 years with Hillary, that we wouldn't recognize agriculture in this country, because I don't know who could afford it to keep up with the regulations that were coming our way.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, with the political climate as it is, and it seems like I had a guest on my program about a month and a half ago, and we were talking about the different Trump appointments for the different categories, etc. And this was not on the air, it was beforehand on the telephone, and I said, I think one of the most important parts of a cabinet is Secretary of Agriculture. And I remember this person kind of chuckled and said, oh, yeah, right. And I said, wait a minute. Please remember that a country that can't feed itself is subservient to all other countries. And I think you'd agree with that, wouldn't you, Randy?
Oh, absolutely would. And not just that, but the fact that the Secretary of Agriculture is over the SNAP program, and the food stamp program as we see it. And, that takes over 80% of USDA's budget, of the Farm Bill budget, goes to the SNAP program. So, yeah, the Secretary of Agriculture is extremely important, and trade is a big issue right now. Agriculture stands to benefit more from increased world trade than probably any other industry in the United States. So I'm convinced that's why this pick is taking longer than the others, is it is so important, and it's absolutely necessary that they get the right guy or woman in there.
Let me ask you about this, and I want to preface my remarks by saying that I think there have been way too many studies that are thrown together in a rapid fashion, and I'll go clear back to the Alar scare over apples and how it just absolutely crucified the apple industry, and then we've seen it happen to other industries, the meat industry, and now the potato industry, and the studies come out, oh, this is bad, and then all of a sudden, maybe 6-8 months or 2-3 years later, another study comes out and says, well, that first study was all wet and they didn't know what they were talking about. Wouldn't you agree this happens in almost every aspect of agriculture and food?
Oh, yes, it certainly does. And we're seeing just a myriad of it right now because of, the GMO talk and organic talk and all those things go along with it. And EPA trying to be in the middle of it and deter the movement of agriculture in the direction they want it to go. And that's why I said what I said a few minutes ago, is some of the regulations they've been pushing forward in the last couple of years has just been unbelievable. And you talk about their process of reviewing information and science, and their review process has basically gone by the wayside. I know when President Obama first went into office and we were back there visiting with our Idaho delegation, they said they don't even tell us when they're going to have a vote because they don't need us. And this was, Congressman Simpson and Senator Crapo and the others said, they don't even tell us when they're going to have a vote because they don't need our vote. And that's what we've been seeing particularly the last year with EPA. They're reviewing pesticides and other regulations like the waters of the United States, and they're using what they claim is scientific data. And so if anybody complains about what they're doing, they're just saying, well, we're based on science. We're making the decisions we're making based on science. But what they're not saying is where they got their science.
Right.
And they got their science from where they wanted to get it from. And so they're just snubbing their nose at the other side. In other words, like the National Potato Council may be providing them with information on why potatoes should be in the school lunches, and they just snub their nose at that and say, well, we have information from this nutritionist over here that says they're bad for you. And so, yeah, they're based on science, but they're based on their own science. So, they've become their own bureaucracy to where they make up the rules as they go along, and you better play the game. But I think all that's going to come screeching to a halt.
Let me ask you the difference that might occur, hopefully, for agriculture and for all of us in general, with Scott Pruitt as the new EPA head. What are your thoughts about a big, big transition and change?
I've told several people I'd really like to be a fly on the wall that first day when he walks in the door and says, "Hello, folks. Remember me? I'm the one that has sued you several times." I can't even imagine what it's going to be like. And I've often said, what kind of individual does it take to want to work for the Environmental Protection Agency? And true, I know there are good people there, but there are far more who are what we would call tree huggers, that are wanting to clamp down on everything that appears to be dangerous to the American public. I was in San Francisco a couple of weeks ago, and standing in the lobby of the Marriott Hotel, and there's a sign there on the wall that says, "Warning, the air in this area may contain carcinogenic substances." There's no smoking law basically everywhere in California, not just inside but outside. So why did they even have that warning there?
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing that they're trying to shove at us, and I think it's just going to take a big step backwards and start using some common sense. I mean, we're all for clean air, and we know it was a Republican administration that put EPA into place. And it has its reasons. I mean, we've seen industries that have gotten out of control, but not to the point that we see it now. It's just terribly burdensome and ridiculous, some of what's coming down the pike.
You know, when I look at Pruitt and I look at Zimke's appointment to the Interior Department and others, I'm seeing a ray of sunshine that might be better for all of us here in the West. But there's a caveat there, as you know, representing the Idaho potato, etc., that the environmentalists and their movement and their money, they will do everything they can now, I think, to tie things up in court. Is that a fear that you have also?
I think they will, but I think there's a limit to what they could do. It's like the talk that came out, that they were going to try to block Trump's appointees, and then they learned that, no, they really can't. They can make a lot of noise, but they can't stop it. And I think when it comes to regulation from EPA or USDA or whoever it might be, I think they can make their statement, but I don't know that it's going to have a lot of effect. This water is the U.S. Policy that's been trying to be put into place. They had a comment period on that. There were over 100 million I can't find the word. Anyway, documents that were sent in opposing that,
right.
And they were basically ignored. EPA went ahead and did what they wanted, or in the process of doing what they wanted to do. And I think you're going to see that same thing. The environmentalists will continue to make a lot of noise and press lawsuits and everything, but you're just going to have such a change in the policy in Washington, D.C. that I don't think it'll have much effect. When was the last time you heard of anybody suing the United States government and winning?
Absolutely.
It just doesn't happen.
Right.
So,
well, let's talk a little bit about potatoes, one of my absolute favorite vegetables to put on the plate, whether you want to put the butter on or the sour cream or just pepper or whatever topping. Absolutely the potatoes and heart health. Now, I've had some heart problems in the last couple of years, and when I've read these studies and everything, tell us a little bit about some of the studies, potatoes and heart health.
Well, it must be significant because just in the last couple of years, the Idaho Potato Commission has been able to come to an agreement with the American Heart Association, and we actually have the heart check symbol on a lot of our packaging. We could have it on all of our packaging, but it's just a matter of getting all the shippers to do it. So it's been recognized by the American Heart Association as being heart healthy. And I might add that Idaho potatoes are the only ones that have that symbol. We were the first to grab it. We have it trademarked, and that's a big plus to us. But we continue to tout potatoes as being healthy. We brought Rods Racing into the scene, which is racing for orphans with Down syndrome, and they are touting potatoes as being an energy product that they use in their marathons. And so every direction we turn, we can still manifest the fact that potatoes are good for you. They're economical. everybody loves them. It's just a matter of keeping them in our diet because we have a tendency to wander away from that.
Absolutely. Now, I noticed in the study it said that there were no significant trends between the consumption of boiled potatoes, fried potatoes, or French fries and the risk of any cardiovascular outcomes. So a lot of the fears that the liberals were trying to throw on the potato over the last many years, these fears are unfounded, correct?
They really are, and, you know, they attack French fries. Well, French fryers went out of the schools years ago, and they used baked fries, which were considerably healthier. But the thing that the American public really doesn't realize and keep up with is that the oils that they're using now in McDonald's or any of the fast food restaurants, even over here at Five Guys in Twin Falls, you know, it's peanut oil or canola oil. It's a healthier oil. The way they've begun producing them here at the local processing plants, they are able to put a flash fry on that prohibits the potato from soaking in oil in the cooking process. Not prohibits, but cuts it way down. So even our French fries have become, I'm not going to say healthy, but they're not nearly as harmful as they used to be. Not
Absolutely.
Nearly as fattening.
Yep.
Same thing with potato chips in the way they're fried, the way they're prepared. So our products keep getting better, and we see demand for all potato products continue to be strong. I'm not going to say that they're increasing because we see a significant change in the entire produce department, that the use of all fresh vegetables and fruits is going down, and that's fairly evident in our lifestyle. General Mills has made the statement that they're concerned about the use of prepared cereal in the morning. Their sales have dropped off like 16% in the last 5 years, and it's all attributed to the onset of more coffee shops. People are grabbing a cup of coffee for breakfast instead of eating their prepared cereal.
Mm-hmm.
So Americans changing their eating habits, and we're doing everything we can to shift our focus to be there on the plate with something that they want. And so we're very active with food bloggers. We're active on social media, Twitter, Facebook, all those things, and trying to continue to reach the public. But our consumer's changing, but our product's just as good.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a question. We're down to about the last 3 or 4 minutes in this segment. Caller, quickly go, please.
Yeah, why can't we buy a decent potato in Idaho at the store?
Randy, I think you better handle that. Go ahead.
That's a great question, and I'll tell you, I've been in more than a couple. I've been in a few of our local retailers, and I am not hesitant at all to find the produce manager and rake them over the coals. I think it's absolutely pathetic, especially here in Idaho. And it's amazing some of the responses I get from those managers. You know, oh, yeah, we need to go through those and sort them out. And I said, no, you don't understand. If a person buys these potatoes and takes them home and cooks them, they will never be back after another one. You're costing yourselves sales. So anybody that complains about potatoes in the store, the first thing I do is tell them, go to that produce manager and demand that there be better potatoes on the shelf.
Absolutely.
Because they listen to the consumer. That's what they're there for, and they will listen to the consumer more than they'll even listen to me if I have my potato commission hat on or whatever.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Well said. One of the things I want to talk about quickly, and I know I'm almost out of time, but, you know, Michelle Obama really went after the American potato and tried to say, oh, it's a great risk of obesity, and that has also been proven in a study that it's completely false. Talk to us about that quickly.
Yeah, they used information that was put out by the Institute of Medicine, which, again, is just it's a institute that's formed by older physicians, nutritionists, dietitians, and you have to be invited onto the Institute of Medicine. But they were using information from 20 years ago. And some of the newer test data is much more thorough. It's much more based on the way potatoes are prepared nowadays. And so by using the last test results, which were done just recently, again, potatoes prove themselves to not be the culprit. They are extremely healthy and nutritious, and that's why we were able to get potatoes back into the WIC program and back into the school lunch program. And so, yeah, again, they wanted to use science. They're just using the wrong science.
You know, Randy, one of the things that bothers me, and I think you'll agree with me, is that America and American families have really got away from sitting down at the dinner table together and really eating and enjoying a well-balanced meal. Vegetables, whatever the meat product is, a well-balanced meal. And when you look at kids and vegetable consumption, it's no wonder they're not getting everything because parents don't take the time to really have the family sit down together. Would you agree with that?
Well, that's absolutely true, and we see it in the disposition of our crop. You know, we used to go heavily into supermarkets, retail centers, and food service was just there as the alternative. And now we've seen that shift where now there's more potatoes served in food service than there is sold out of the grocery store. And that seems hard to believe, but it's true, and it's increasing in a great amount of speed. So we're hearing of things called grocerants where you can go get your groceries. You can also go sit down and eat a meal on your way home. You can call and order meals from an outlet and have them delivered to you, not just pizza, but complete meals. So there again, our consumers changing, and we're doing our best to try to keep up with that. But yeah, the old sit-down meals that we were used to when we were kids, they're just simply not happening much anymore.
Randy, what about now? You've devoted, along with your lovely wife, so many years to the potato industry. Now, on behalf of yourself and your wife, what titles do you share and what committees are you serving on?
My wife is currently on the executive committee of the, used to be the Potato Board that changed their name to Potatoes USA, which is the national organization that promotes the health and benefits of potatoes. And she is currently the vice chairman of the Grower Outreach Committee, which is a new committee. And they put her on there because she's been there so long and had a lot of internal information on directions that committee should go. She actually goes off the Potatoes USA in March, so she'll be done. I am currently on the Idaho Potato Commission. I'm in my third year. There probably what will be a 6-year stint, but I'm still active in the National Potato Council and attend those meetings 3 times a year. So, yeah, we're still plenty busy.
Randy, I want to say thank you for taking your time. And by the way, in your TV commercials, is the guy that's the farmer in those commercials ever going to find that truck?
He is. He's going to find that truck. In fact, if you look at the most recent ones that are out there, he found the truck, but while he was looking the other way, it left again, and he didn't know which direction it was, so he's back on the lookout for it.
Okay.
Those commercials are extremely popular with consumers. We get tons of emails about how refreshing it is to see a lighthearted, humorous, fun-to-follow commercial, and we get tons of emails letting us know where our truck is.
Randy, I really appreciate your friendship and appreciate you being on the program. Randy Hardy, thank you so much. God's blessings for a great new year, 2017.
Thank you, Zeb. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. Anytime. Thank you. I really enjoy these folks. I consider them to be very, very dear friends. Randy Hardy and his wife, his family, they've been really good to us, and I appreciate him coming on the program and talking about the great potato. I love potatoes. Oh, my goodness. We've got to get a weather forecast on here right now, and the weather brought to you this hour by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, and Crane Company. Can I say that all over again? Back up. There you go. Brought to you by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company CPAs. The very best of tax return preparation, tax planning, financial statement preparation, retirement planning. Oh, these men are good. Todd Phillips, Rob Oaks, Mitch Goodwin, Lyden Crane, and they've got 2 locations to serve you. 1710 Overland Avenue in Burley and 620 5th Street in Rupert. It's tax planning time. You better get a hold of them today. The best. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company serving you. Right now, here's the weather.
Enjoy today because looks like weather could be changing in our area as we are experiencing a winter weather warning beginning for tonight. But for today, looks like occasional snow showers just before 11 a.m. Some areas of patchy freezing fog as well. Looking at a high of 24, winds out of the east right around 5 to 8 miles an hour. For tonight, partly cloudy skies with a low right around 6. Wind chill values could mean it's as low as -7. 30% chance of snow showers For tomorrow, mostly after 11 o'clock in the morning, looking at a high right near 33. And then for Wednesday night, snow showers likely mixed with freezing rain, becoming all snow after 11 o'clock in the evening for Wednesday night. Thursday, more snow showers in the forecast with a high of 36. So batten down the hatches and be prepared for another winter storm. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, I hope it's the last one. Please, Gina, no more. Hey, the weather is brought to you this hour by Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company CPAs. They are good. Believe me, they've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. And I urge you to contact them today. 1710 Overland Avenue in Burley, 878-7000, and 625th Street in Rupert, 436-5607. Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company CPAs, absolutely the best. Holy cow, we are almost out of time in this half hour. It went really fast with Frosty and Randy and everybody. I appreciate them being on the air. Coming up next hour, of course, we've got Dr. History, and I know that he just walked into the studio area because I can hear the dog barking. And then at 10:30, we're going to have with the Pacific Legal Foundation, Caleb Trotter, an attorney, and they're going to be talking about the question, can non-native wolves receive protection reserved for native species in Oregon? This is going to be a really interesting segment, so I'm asking you to stay tuned. Let's see. Oh, George. I got to get George Faulkner on here real quick. This Saturday, the American Legion Post 77 would like to thank the men and women who have served our country with courage and commitment, and they're going to have free coffee and donuts at the Wilbur C. Hall, American Legion Post 77, 132 Wayne Street in Paul on Saturday morning from 8 to 11, and that's from my dear, dear friend George Faulkner. So try to get on over there and enjoy. Right now, we're going to turn it back over to Wheels at our main studio. We're about ready to listen to CBS News, and then we'll be back in about 7 minutes. Don't go away, Zeb at the Ranch. We got a whole bunch more. Oh, my goodness sakes, here we go. And Dr. History will be up in just a moment. We were checking on one of the cameras here in the studio to see if we held pictures up of like Wild Bill Hickok and Annie Oakley and all those other people from days gone by. If you folks could see it at home. And on the one camera, it comes in clear as a bell. And so I'm going to have you occasionally jump up, and they can see either the good, the bad, or the ugly.
When you said that.
I know I didn't have your mic on, but just a minute, I got to say this. Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and along with some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services, always at your disposal, 734-6969. Before we go to Dr. History, I want to remind you, too, about Lee's Furniture and Floors. Inventory crunch. Oh, my goodness, you can save up to 75% store-wide. My goodness, check out the mattresses and check out the reclining sofas and the sofa and love seat. All of this, along with the TV entertainment centers, and save a lot of money. At Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Inventory crunch where you can save up to 75%. Holy cow. You better get in there today. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. Well, right now, it is time every Tuesday, and we celebrate this man coming into our studio, coming into our lives, and making our lives so much better, and that's, of course, Dr. History, brought to you by Mini-Cash Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley, right across from the airport, 878-2091, with Zach and the crew, and right now, without further ado, here's Dr. History.
Good morning, Zeb.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
You can back that off maybe about that far. I don't want to have it get fuzzy because you have silver-throated tones.
It's true. What can I say?
All right, go ahead.
All right. Well, it's a little cold out there. It was 6 degrees driving over here.
You know, aren't you sick of this?
Well, I went up skiing Saturday.
Yeah.
I haven't skied for a couple of years, but it was beautiful up there at Pomerelle.
Yeah.
Sunny and...
good folks up there.
Oh, yeah. Loved it up there. That's one of my... I've skied there since
Did you work up a sweat or did you
You know
freeze?
what? I actually did. I had on too much.
Really?
And being the expert skier that I am.
Oh, brag, brag, brag. Jean-Claude Keeley.
Hey, I'll show you a video. You'll be impressed.
I would love to. Anyway, what are we going to talk about today?
We're going to talk about the trail towns.
Oh, you mean like Abilene and
that's exactly
Sedalia? We're going to talk about Abilene.
Abilene. That's the one we're going to talk about. Right. When the cowboys reached the trail town at the end of a drive, the cowboys sometimes actually drove the herd right through the streets. You've seen pictures of that.
Oh, yeah, it's been in movies, too.
Yeah. And as soon as the cattle were bedded down, all except a few herd riders were free to go into town. Now, some unlucky cowboys had to stay with the herd, while the lucky ones got to go to town.
And do a hoorah!
That's what we're going to talk about. Anyway, no matter what hour the noisy celebrators returned to camp, the relieved first shift guards would gallop off to town and salvage whatever fun they could through the rest of the night.
Yeah.
Now, it was customary to pay off the men as soon as the drive ended, and with money jingling in their pockets, the cowboys were ripping and raring, ready to go. And after 3 hard months on the trail, you can't blame them for, just wanting to have some fun. What can we say?
And not have to be under the thumb of the trail boss.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, no cowboys entering the trail town ever permitted his horse to walk or trot. There was all at a gallop and a run. Pistols were fired off, and hopefully pointed skyward.
Yeah, really, no kidding.
And with their horses' hooves pounding the streets, their bridle chains rattling, and their voices whooping and hollering, and they made plenty of noise.
Why, we've done that and seen it in Burley.
That's right. And that's what happened unless they were frustrated by some undiplomatic town marshal that wanted to kind of put the kibosh on that. Yeah. So. But anyway, the usual first action of a trails end cowboy was to get a haircut, have his mustache or beard properly shaped and blacked.
Yeah.
Now, so I am assuming they dyed it.
And it looked really ugly on a blonde-haired guy.
It did. Then he visited a clothing store for a new outfit.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something.
No, don't be getting ahead of me. So he went into the clothing store, came out with new clothes, hat, boots, usually embellished with the Texas stars, and he was ready for fun.
And the reason they did that is because they knew about 3 or 4 hours later they might not have any money left.
That's true. And here's a guy, he says, I remember like it was yesterday. His name was Teddy Blue.
Yeah.
He was a trail hand. He said, have you heard of him?
I have.
Okay.
I've got a book over here of some of the famous old cowhands from the Old West. Teddy Blue's in there.
Okay, here's what he said. Yeah. He said, I had a new white Stetson hat that I paid $10 for, and new pants that cost $12, and a good shirt and fancy boots. They had colored tops, red and blue, with a half moon and a star on them.
Right.
Lord, I was proud of those clothes. They were the kind of clothes top hands wore, and I thought I was dressed right for the first time in my life.
And as a matter of fact, I wish you'd have told me we were going to talk about this. I'd have hauled out some of those pictures of those boots and everything. I've got colored pictures of them.
Yeah, and I can just picture those, the red and blue and the white. Anyway, so after drinking some of the strong whiskey, which was...
Oh, really?
Yeah, I know.
You mean they left that lemonade stand?
It's kind of surprising. They drank a little bit of that whiskey, which came into town by the bucket load, or so to speak, but now they were ready for the dancing halls.
Oh, my.
Okay, now, the cowboy, this is a guy named Joseph McCoy, and here's how he described the cowboy, all right?
All right.
Enters the dance with a peculiar zest, not stopping to divest himself of his sombrero, spurs, or pistols.
Yeah.
A more odd sight is not often seen than the dancing cowboy. With the front of his sombrero lifted at an angle of fully 45 degrees, his huge spurs jingling at every step or motion, his revolvers flapping up and down, his eyes lit up with excitement, liquor, he plunges in at a terrible rate in the most awkward country style, often swinging his partner clear off the floor for an entire circle, then, with an occasional yell, all this he does entirely oblivious to the whole world. Now, after dancing furiously, the entire set is called to waltz to the bar, where the boy is required to treat his partner and, of course, himself also, which he does not hesitate to do time and time again, although it cost him 50 cents each time.
Some things never change.
If they saw me dance, they might think it was a pretty awkward, not a good sight. Anyway,
oh boy.
So this might be a good time for breaks.
Yeah, well, really though, what was in the past really doesn't change that much.
It doesn't.
Okay. Don't forget Minicash Sales with Zach. Hello, Zach. They've got everything over there. They've got the Tartar Furman Ranch gates and panels, and they've got the Western windows. And I want to stress the fact, winter's not going to end for a while. So if you want to upgrade your windows and keep the cold air outside, check it out today with those Western windows. And Zach can help send over a contractor to do the insulation work. And they've got the luxury vinyl and the planking and the carpet. Oh, my goodness, everything over there at Minicash Sales. But you know what, above all? They're really nice people. At 1321 East Main Street in Burley, right across from the airport, 878-2091. Minicash Sales, bringing you Dr. History. Now let's go back to the big dance.
All righty. So we're done with the dance, but most cowboys trailing into these Kansas cow towns were from Texas. But even those that weren't were still called Texans.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now, I'm going to talk about
You wouldn't want to call somebody that just finished a 2,000-mile cattle drive, hey, Massachusetts, come over here.
Wisconsin. Yeah, any of those. So Abilene. Okay. Abilene really had no law. Well, the people in town decided to pass some ordinances and build a jail. Well, they posted notices along the roads leading into town forbidding the carrying of firearms within the city limits. The cowboys read the notices with interest and then proceeded to fill them full of bullet holes. The signs.
Yeah.
As soon as the jail was built, a party of celebrating cowhands rode into town and tore it down. It was rebuilt under day and night guard, but when a camp cook was thrown in jail for being drunk, he was freed in a few hours by his boys. They chased the jailer, broke the lock, and rode away with the cook.
Wait a minute, though. It's not a good thing to ever do something nasty to the cook.
And these guys were... They got him out of jail, headed back to camp.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's a guy named Tom Smith, and he learned how to handle gangs while he was in.
Oh, there's an odd name.
Yeah, Tom Smith, but he was actually on the New York City police force.
Really?
But he was called Bear River Tom.
Okay. Bear River Tom.
Bear River Tom's first act was to post broadsides strategically in the saloons of the town. I'm not sure if that means guns or...
What, he said no guns allowed?
Yeah.
Oh.
And they had a sign that said all firearms are expected to be deposited with the proprietor.
Oh, my goodness. So in other words, like today, check your keys of your vehicle.
Yes.
In those days, it was you got to hang your gun up.
Yes.
And they had... I know what you're talking about because they used to have these great big wooden plaque with the pegs on them.
Yeah.
And they used to hang the different holsters up there.
And his first showdown following this was with a rowdy cowboy called Big Hank.
Oh,
right there, you know
Hank is a bad dude.
Anyway, he was wearing his pistol. Well, Big Hank refused to deposit his gun.
Yeah.
Well, Smith calmly stepped in, struck him a terrific blow on the chin, took his pistol away from him, and ordered him out of town.
Wait a minute, how big was the other guy?
I don't know.
Big enough.
They call him Bear River Tom.
Okay.
Anyway, so news of this, of taking out Big Hank, spread through the cow camps that night, and the next morning a man named Wyoming Frank.
Oh,
okay.
So I'm going to follow the characters. We got Bear River Tom. We've got Big Hank,
who got whipped.
And then we've got
Wyoming Frank.
Oh yeah, I want to follow this.
He's coming into town wearing two guns. Okay. Wyoming Frank sought out the marshal. He received 2 smashes on his chin. This time, Bear River Tom took one of the challenger's pistols, beat him over the head with it, and told him to leave town and never return.
Wow. Did they have Blue Cross Blue Shield?
I don't know, but Bear River Tom, he had, I should say he did have things in hand, but so there were no gun killings during Tom Smith or Bear River Tom's reign in Abilene. But a local settler became enraged over a land boundary dispute and ended the marshal's career with a bullet and an axe.
Oh,
so it wasn't a cowboy; it was a settler.
So some settler came in and shot him and then
took him,
tomahawked him.
Yeah.
Holy smoke!
Now here's a guy that I showed you a picture of a few minutes ago.
Yeah, was that
James Butler Wild Bill Hickok?
Did you ever wonder how come they called him Wild Bill? Because James Butler does not No, seriously. William, you could understand Wild Bill.
Yeah.
But when you got James Butler, where does the bill come from?
I think
you're supposed to know this
We've
stuff.
discussed that before, and I told you I don't know. Okay. Anyway, Hickok, he understood cowboys. Okay, and he shortly became Abilene's marshal in 1871.
Right.
And he announced that the cowboys could wear their revolvers wherever and whenever they pleased, and this was kind of a welcome change.
Yep.
From the rules that were established by the late Bear River Tom Smith.
He died.
But anyway, Hickok was a kind of a tall, graceful man and a spectacular gunfighter.
Yeah.
He patrolled Texas Street in Abilene by walking in the center, his long auburn hair hanging in the ringlets over his shoulders.
Yeah, and he didn't wear a holster either.
No.
Did you know that? He had him in a sash.
Right. And that's what I was going to tell you.
Yeah.
He was small, kind of finely formed hands and feet, almost a feminine appearance.
Well, he kind of looked that way.
Well, hair down to his shoulders. But anyway, everybody respected Wild Bill as a quick draw artist. He usually wore, as you said, a pair of ivory hilted and silver mounted pistols thrust into a richly embroidered sash.
Yeah.
His shirts were of the finest linen. His boots were the best.
Where did he get all of his money?
Well, his salary wasn't that great.
Yeah.
Okay. And so he kind of augmented his earnings by frequent gambling.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
I see. Okay.
But he was popular with most of the cowboys, and some other Abilene citizens were as colorful as Wild Bill. There was a guy named Josiah Jones. He was kind of a hefty, fat.
Yeah, he was a big, fat, obese guy.
Jolly saloon keeper.
Yeah.
Now, he kept a colony of prairie dogs for fun. Just
what?
Prairie dogs. He just kept them.
For pets?
For pets.
In the saloon?
Somewhere. But when Eastern visitors began offering him $5 per pair for prairie dogs, his hobby became a business, and he had no time to run his saloon, so he hired little boys to go out and catch more prairie dogs. Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
So he made a bunch of money.
So what you're saying is today you could go out on your place and hire a bunch of kids to come over and catch gophers.
Gophers, muskrats, I got them all. But anyway, another guy by the name of Gore operated what was called McCoy's Drover's Cottage.
Oh.
Okay, now this was an elite...
What a nice name.
It was. And it was an elite hotel, 100 rooms. Now, whenever I picture a hotel in an old Western town, I'm thinking maybe 10 rooms?
Yeah, 12, whatever, 12. Like on Gunsmoke, you know.
100 rooms, had an adjoining barn big enough to hold 50 carriages.
This was a big place.
And 100 horses. Now, the Texans really liked the cottage's iced drinks because this was made possible because they had gone in the wintertime and cut ice from the river and then stored it somehow, like probably in some kind of a cellar.
Underground, yeah.
So to have an ice drink at that point, pretty unusual. But so here we come along with a good old friend of ours named John Wesley Hart.
Oh, yeah. John, did you ever notice that most of these guys had 3 names they went by?
Yeah, you know. But anyway, he got in.
What was Wyatt Earp's middle name?
Fred?
That's a stab. Okay, go ahead.
I don't know. So he arrived in Abilene in 1871. His reputation had already preceded him. Wild Bill had in his possession a handbill sent up from Texas offering a reward for the arrest of this 18-year-old boy who packed a pretty loose 6-shooter. But later, Hickok and Hardin, they did have some trouble.
Yeah.
But no shots were fired. Wild Bill began referring to Hardin as Little Arkansas.
Little Arkansas, but he was from Texas.
Yeah, I don't know why that Little Arkansas thing came out.
You're confusing me on all your names here.
Anyway, they became friends. And Hickok is said to have told Hardin that he would not arrest him for any crimes he committed in Texas, but if he killed anybody in Abilene, he would not get out of town alive.
Oh, my.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so one night, Hardin was in his bed in the American Hotel when a man unlocked the door, slipped into the room. Hardin fired at the intruder and killed him. Well, Wild Bill came up to the hotel in a buggy.
Yeah.
They call it a hack.
A hack.
To investigate the gunfire.
Okay.
So the young Texan slipped out on the roof in such a hurry, he left his trousers behind. Okay, picture this.
If you think I'm going to make a comment here, I'm not.
Okay. So Wild Bill ran into the hotel and Hardin jumped down into the buggy and drove away. he stole the first saddled pony he saw and rode off toward Texas, still minus his trousers.
Yeah.
Several miles below Abilene, John Wesley Hardin took a pair of pants from an unlucky cowboy at gunpoint, ordering the man on into town in his underdrawers. And he said, "Give Wild Bill my love."
Yeah.
So,
a pants thief.
Yes. I mean, you can do a lot of things, but don't steal somebody's pants.
Why didn't Hardin just really stay there and review the facts? I mean, the guy broke into his room.
I'm thinking he was probably thinking, they'll not believe anything I say.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
But anyway, Abilene saloons bore some pretty colorful names. The Applejack, the Old Fruit,
Here
and
we go. Who was the Old Fruit?
I don't know. And there was one that was obviously christened to appeal to Texans. It was called the Alamo.
Yeah.
And of the drinking houses, the Alamo actually boasted 3 sets of double glass doors. And I tried to picture
Three
this.
sets. Why would you want to take a chance on glass doors?
I don't know.
With those cowboys coming to town.
I'm trying to picture that in my mind, and I can't quite fathom. But anyway, the Alamo boasted 3 sets of double glass doors, a bar with carefully polished brass fixtures and rails, and paintings all over the walls.
What kind of paintings?
Probably bears and deer and
yeah, I'm sure that's what it was. All right.
Anyway. Now, every trail town had at least one photograph gallery. And it was strategically located near a popular saloon because the cowboys enjoyed having their pictures taken.
Sure they did.
And you've seen hundreds of pictures of the cowboys standing there with their new hats and their new belts and everything. But anyway, one of the more violent episodes of Abilene's lush period developed around a fair damsel of the dance halls. Her name was Jessie Hazel. And she would
Jessie
Hazel. I don't have a picture. Anyway, admired by a guy by the name of Phil Coe, who owned the Bull's Head Tavern. Wild Bill Hickok was also a rival for the favors of Jessie Hazel.
Oh, my
And
goodness.
these two guys got to be pretty bitter enemies.
I see.
Now, when Hickok accused Phil Coe of cheating at cards, the inevitable gun battle followed. Coe was killed.
Uh-oh.
Now, this is a little disheartening, but during the confusion, Wild Bill accidentally killed one of his deputies, Mike Williams.
Oh, I remember that story.
Yeah.
I saw that in the Legend of Wild Bill Hickok.
Yeah, accidentally.
In the movie, and I can't think of who played Bill Hickok in that movie. I'll think of it in just a minute. And the deputy had yelled something from behind Hickok, and he turned and fired, and killed the deputy.
Yeah. Anyway,
that was the beginning of the end.
It was. In bloody anger, Wild Bill chased all the cowboys out of town, began patrolling Texas Street with a sawed-off shotgun loaded with buckshot.
Ooh.
Okay. Now, so here we are, the year 1871, kind of Abilene's last big season. During its 5-year reign as king of the cowtowns, the small farmers, or the nesters as the cowmen called them, had been pushing steadily west along the Kansas Pacific until most of the free range was gone.
Yeah.
So, anyway, the cattlemen were considered natural enemies, and in February 1872, they were ordered to stay away from Abilene.
Really? I've only got 2 minutes left.
Okay, I'm about done here, so we're right on.
Okay.
Anyway, they wrote up something, these farmers said, "We, the undersigned members of the Farmers Protective Association and officers and citizens of Dickinson County, Kansas, most respectfully request all who have contemplated driving Texas cattle to Abilene the coming season to seek some other point for shipment, as the inhabitants of Dickinson will no longer submit to the evils of the trade." So the big boom collapsed immediately.
They lost a lot of money.
They did. And before the end of 1872, the town's leaders actually were begging the drivers and the shippers to come back, but it was too late.
You know, we ought to make a list of these towns like Sedalia and Dodge City. And Hays, Kansas, I think, was another one. And then, of course, you've got Abilene. Make a list of all those and do a little study on those various towns.
Now, a lot of people think all those cattle drives came from Texas up to, this way. Right here where we're sitting, Zeb, there were some of the largest cattle drives.
That's right.
Went right along the Snake River over into the Owyhee area.
That's right. Why don't you do a story on that?
I had a really good book on that, on the Owyhee County and the huge cattle ranches that were over there.
I got to run.
I know.
We're late, but that was really good, Doc.
I was going to show a picture, but we probably don't
You
have
want to
time.
show? Which picture do you want to show? A picture? Yeah, he does look kind of, well, never mind. Go over and show it on that camera. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you at home that just heard the crash, Dr. History's okay, and he's going to hold that picture up to the camera. Down a little bit, Doc. Perfect. Now a little closer. And down a little bit more, and that is Wild Bill Hickok. And there you have it, with his long flowing locks. Dr. History brought to you by Minnecasia Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley, right across from the airport. Zach and the crew serving you at Minnecasia Sales, bringing you Dr. History every Tuesday. Doc, just a minute, I need to visit with you, but before you go, I want to remind everybody about A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley and Ambulatory Surgery Center in Burley, and they bring you Cassia County School Days on Thursdays at 10:10. Don't forget, at A Child's World, they've got all the Cherokee scrubs and the shoes and the games and the puzzles, and their winter clothing, 40% off. You better stop in today at A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley, along with the Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland in Burley. Number to call for the outpatient surgeries. They can save you money. 677-8888. 677-8888. Ambulatory Surgery Center and A Child's World, bringing you School Days in Cassia County. Right now, let's send it back over to Wheels. I'll be back with my next guest in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Oh, welcome back. Our last half hour at Zeb at the Ranch on a Tuesday, January 17th. Had a lot of fun with Dr. History this last half hour. Right now, we're going to go to the phone line, and I really appreciate this man coming on the program from the Pacific Legal Foundation. His name is Caleb Trotter. Good morning, Caleb. How are you?
I'm well, Zeb. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Well, you know, you're going to be talking about a subject this morning that I have been involved in somewhat since 1995 here in the state of Idaho, when we were absolutely deluged and pushed to accept the wolf as a predator back into our state, and now it's causing problems in other states. Bring us up to speed as to what's going on in our neighboring state of Oregon.
Sure. Well, as I'm sure you're aware, and probably many others in the West, are that once the wolves were reintroduced from Canada in the mid-'90s, that they're a rather mobile species, and that they would, if they succeeded, thrive and spread into neighboring states. And that's, of course, what has happened. Today we're talking about Oregon, and Oregon has anywhere between 80 and 100-something breeding pairs of wolves now, or at least wolves, not necessarily breeding pairs. And the species has thrived so much in the state that in late 2015, the State Department of Fish and Wildlife delisted the gray wolf from their state Endangered Species Act, which of course has sparked a lawsuit from a number of environmentalist groups, and us at Pacific Legal Foundation are representing the Oregon Farm Bureau and Oregon Cattlemen's Association in defending the state's delisting of the gray wolf from their state Endangered Species Act.
Well, let me ask you this, Caleb, and I want to break this down in the most simplistic terms as possible. If the wolf that was part of the state's history was diminished in numbers and gone, and they brought in another species of wolf that is not native to that area and or that state, then how can that wolf get the protection?
Well, our primary argument is that it cannot. There's a very key distinction between Oregon's Endangered Species Act and the Federal Endangered Species Act. Under the federal law, a species does not have to be native to the United States. That's why we have like African lions and elephants listed under the Federal Endangered Species Act. But Oregon's law specifically says that only species that are native to Oregon are covered under its state law.
Right.
And as you said, because the wolves that were introduced into Idaho and the Yellowstone area in the 90s came from Canada, they're part of the Canadian timber wolf subspecies, whereas the wolves that were native in Oregon and the vast majority of the lower 48 states were part of the Great Plains wolf subspecies. So our primary argument is that because those wolves now in Oregon are members of an entirely different subspecies, then when Oregon listed them originally under their state law, that they shouldn't have done that. And in any event today, that those wolves are not eligible for protection under Oregon's law as it's written.
What's going on through the courts right now, Caleb, as far as these, and I'm going to call them the way I see them, wacky environmentalists, where like here in the state of Idaho, let me digress for a moment. Here in the state of Idaho, we have had the numbers go at increasing numbers. We are way over the agreed numbers with the environmentalists, but they want more. They want much more. When are they going to quit? Are they going to adhere to the agreements? And I think the same argument could be said in Oregon.
I think that's right. When there was quite a bit of controversy a number of years ago as the wolves were growing and succeeding in Oregon, and the state created a management plan, which was basically they got all the environmentalist groups, the farmers, the ranchers, and people with other various interests together, and they were able to come to a political agreement with a plan that would work for everyone, or at least a compromise plan. And as a part of that, once the wolves reached certain thresholds in their numbers, then in the areas primarily in eastern Oregon, which obviously is bordering Idaho, and it makes common sense that there would be more wolves in the eastern part of the state. So as those numbers grew even more rapidly, then the ranchers and farmers would be able to begin managing the wolf populations to deal with problem wolves, and at the same time protecting the smaller groups in the western part of the state. And so all that was agreed to, and that's what triggered the delisting in late 2015 as all those numbers were reached. Only the environmentalist groups, I think as we see year in and year out, is they're not necessarily concerned with a balanced approach that respects all property rights and all various interests. They have a more single-minded approach to conservation. And so because they've now come up with arguments that, oh, well, the state didn't use the proper scientific information, it wasn't peer-reviewed, basically making arguments that are not part of Oregon law, but that would require continued protections that were not originally agreed to. And so to your original question of where it is in the courts, so because of that, the environmentalist groups have challenged Oregon's delisting of the gray wolf. As I said, Pacific Legal Foundation is representing the Farm Bureau and Cattlemen's Association as interveners in supporting that delisting, and briefing in the case in the Oregon Court of Appeals is almost complete. We would expect an oral argument to happen sometime this spring, and depending on how that goes, it might wind up in the Oregon Supreme Court.
You know, Caleb, I've had you and others with the Pacific Legal Foundation and other organizations regarding these environmental lawsuits and these environmental pushes, if you will, and it has become apparently clear to me over the last couple of years, and I think to many people, it's not for preserving the wolves. It's not for preserving the spotted owl. It's not for preserving a little minnow in California, the smelt, etc. It's for total control, and that's what these environmentalists want, and somebody had better slap their hands because it's got to stop.
Well, and perhaps that's it. At least we at Pacific Legal Foundation make a point that oftentimes it's the groups that are most impacted in the day-to-day, the ranchers, the farmers, the families that live in these areas, and their businesses and livelihoods are based on parts of the law that impact them in ways that others aren't, and they should be able to have a full representation of their interests and
absolutely
to respect their property rights and their rights to earn a living, and we're happy to represent those groups like the Cattlemen's and the Farm Bureau in cases such as this.
Well, case in point, like here in Idaho, and I think both these topics in both of these states are interchangeable with the problems, because Idaho, since 1995, they've had the restoration of the wolves, if you want, thrust upon us. The numbers, we were only supposed to have the 10 breeding pairs or 100 wolves, and now the numbers are probably way up over 1,200 to 1,500 wolves in the state, and enough is enough. But the environmentalists want more, and it's about time somebody took a ruler and slapped them on the knuckles and made them adhere to the agreements that they have sat down and negotiated.
Yeah, and it should be interesting. That's definitely an argument that the state of Oregon has made in defending the delisting in their briefs. And I find a lot of time in some of my cases, I criticize the political process and how it isn't always as fair and equitable as we would make it out to think, with everyone's interests being represented. But in this case, we have a good example that all of the parties impacted got together. They created a wolf management plan for the state that was based on ensuring that the wolves would continue to succeed and thrive in the state, but also respect the property rights and just the daily interactions that people who live with wolves would be able to manage it and maintain their businesses and to protect their families. And to see these environmentalist groups try to circumvent that and go around it in the court is problematic, and I'm hopeful that the Oregon courts will take that political agreement seriously and put the ball back in the legislature if it needs to be adjusted where it properly should be, so that all those groups can again revisit any changes that may need to be made.
Caleb, as you well know, by being an attorney on this case, there is no time, no way that you can ever reintroduce a killing predator and not have it hurt or subject itself to hurting the prey. It's predator versus prey in every one of these situations. And the wolf is a predator that back at the turn of the century, going into the 1900s, was so villainous and destroyed sheep and cattle operations, farming operations, it had to be dealt with. But now today, it's not really the wolf so much, but it's the environmentalists with the absolute 7-letter word, control, that they want to take over and control everything. And that's where they got me mad, because I think it's high time, if they're going to make an agreement, they're going to sit down in front of the courts, etc., and say, well, Idaho, 10 breeding pairs or 100 wolves, but now the numbers are way up over 1,500 or more. Oregon's going to be going through the same problem. You've got to have rules and regulatory systems where the environmentalists sit down, shut up, and adhere to the rules.
Well, tell me how you really feel, Zeb.
I am upset about this, Caleb. I wouldn't be on this program if I didn't want to give you my honest opinion.
Absolutely, and we certainly appreciate it. And one of the things that kind of, I don't know if irritates is the right word, but just something that I don't really get with their argument, there being the environmentalist group, is in this case, the federal protections still apply to the wolf in the western part of the state within the management plan that was agreed to.
Right.
It's not as if ranchers and farmers can just go around hunting and shooting wolves. There are very specific protections even within this management plan.
That's right.
That truly only allow for them to address problem wolves. And so for it to be positioned as this, which some of the comments I've seen have positioned this case and the delisting as it's, field day again on the wolves and that they'll disappear. Well, that's definitely over the top, and it's not true, and it's framing agreements that they were able to get placed in the plan and the law that are more to their benefit. And they're essentially ignoring that and misleading some members of the public, and for that's shameful, and it shouldn't be happening. But we're hopeful that with our briefing on the states that we'll be able to get the Oregon courts to take seriously what's happened here and to enforce the law as it's written.
Absolutely, and I hold you in the highest regard for doing this. But, the idiocy and the incompetency and the absolute not having any knowledge about really the wild animal itself, coming out and saying, well, put up lights, or, well, put up rattling little items on your fences or whatever, and scare away the wolves. Do you realize how long that's going to work before these wolves realize that that's not going to hurt them, and they're going to go ahead and continue their predatory ways any way they want to? And I'm an adherent of shoot, shovel, and shut up. If it's bothering my livestock, the wolf's going to go first before my cattle or a lamb. That's the way I am, and I think people need to adhere to that.
And that's yet another point that the environmentalists tend to not have that more balanced approach. That
when you hear that cow, don't be alarmed, Caleb. When you hear that cow,
and so long as Pacific Legal Foundation is here, we will be making sure to make those arguments to allow our ranchers and farmers to do what they need to do.
Absolutely.
Within the law and to protect their families and their businesses.
Okay, Caleb, we've got a caller with a question for you quickly. I'm almost out of time. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, why don't these wolf huggers realize what their wolves are doing to our deer herds, our antelope, our elk and moose? I mean, they're almost non-existent anymore. When I was a kid, when I went deer hunting, it used to sound like an army. There were so many deer. I mean, everybody was shooting. Now, I go, first day of hunting season, I'll hear maybe one shot all day long.
I'll have him respond over the air. Thank you. Go ahead, Caleb. You're on the air, please.
And that's one of the aspects that is why it's important that there's a distinction in the law between native and non-native subspecies.
Absolutely.
There's some evidence in the record in this case that shows that because the Canadian timber wolves tend to be a much larger subspecies, that they have a much larger impact on prey species, such as the caller mentioned. And by providing all this protection to these non-native species, it does have impacts on these other various game species that were not originally accounted for or known in the state, and that's why there's yet another reason to not allow those species to be protected under a law that only protects native species.
All right, well, Caleb, I want you to be John Wayne. Go get 'em, Tiger. Caleb Trotter with the Pacific Legal Foundation. And if people want to follow this case, how can they find out more about the Pacific Legal Foundation?
Our website's www.pacificlegal.org, and it's quite easy just to go to one of our case pages, and you can pull up more on the Oregon Wolf case, and you can also find it on our blog, which is blog.pacificlegal.org.
All right, my friend. Thank you so much for being on the program. Know that I'll call you back in the future. I appreciate it, and have a great day. Thank you so much.
Great, Zeb. Thank you.
All right, sir. Caleb Trotter with the Pacific Legal Foundation, and now Oregon going through many of the same problems that Idaho has gone through with the wolves and the return of the numbers. And we'll have more on that case in days ahead. Right now, oh my goodness, it is time for the weather. And the weather is brought to you this hour by our friends at Scarro's Meats. Hello, Don Scarrow. How are you? At 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat one delicious bite at a time. I told you that I'm so excited because Obama's only got a couple of days left in office. I'm going to go over there and get an oven-ready marinated prime rib and celebrate when the doorknob hits him for the last time. I'm excited. Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call again, 324-7657. And now, the weather.
Enjoy today because looks like weather could be changing in our area as we are experiencing a winter weather warning beginning for tonight. But for today, it looks like occasional snow showers just before 11 a.m. Some areas of patchy freezing fog as well. Looking at a high of 24, winds out of the east right around 5 to 8 miles an hour. For tonight, partly cloudy skies with a low right around 6. Wind chill values could mean it's as low as -7. 30% chance of snow showers for tomorrow, mostly after 11 o'clock in the morning, looking at a high right near 33. And then for Wednesday night, snow showers likely mixed with freezing rain, becoming all snow after 11 o'clock in the evening for Wednesday night. Thursday, more snow showers in the forecast with a high of 36. So batten down the hatches and be prepared for another winter storm. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Yeah. Thank you, Gina. You always do such a great job on the weather. Appreciate it. And it's brought to you this hour by Scarrows Meats. 331 North Road, Jerome. Don Scarrow and the crew, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Hey, how about a call or two? Give me a jingle on the landline, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. Remember that painting, that despicable painting that was in the Capitol? And it was perpetrated by the senator from Missouri, Lacey Gray. This guy, after the absolute heinous aspects of Ferguson, Missouri, he solicited artwork depicting what happened at Ferguson, and they were having a contest. And the painting that won, that Lacey Gray, wanted to hang up in the Capitol, was one that depicted police as pigs and shooting innocent citizens and all that. Oh, finally, I have good news that the painting is coming down forever. It's not going to hang in the nation's capital. It's not going to be there bothering anybody. It's not going to be there for school children and everything else to see the depiction of our police as pigs. It's coming down, and that is a blessing. It was worthless from the beginning, and I'm glad that now the painting is coming down. Yes. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Oh, by the way, I want to hit this again. Dear friend George Faulkner had sent me a notice saying that the American Legion Post 77 is going to have a free donut and coffee session on Saturday morning for all of our veterans, all the men and women that had the courage and the commitment to serve our country. And this is going to be over at the Wilbur C. Hall, American Legion Post 77 at 132 Wayne Street in Paul, Saturday morning from 8 to 11. So everybody try to be there. Very worthwhile. Thank you, George. Appreciate that. Sending it over. I thank you much. Excuse me. By the way, I also want to acknowledge, while I'm waiting for your phone call, our dear friends and our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, did you hear the weather that Gina just had? We're in for another bout of angel dandruff, maybe 6 to 8 inches. Ay. Well, you need your traction tires. You need your snow and your ice tires, like the Himalaya, whichever you want to pronounce it, for your SUVs, or the Observe GS1-5. All of these tires are great traction tires, and you can find them at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, along with all your batteries. Make sure you have your battery checked. Make sure it's going to start that four-wheeled wonder. And along with the best in brake service and front-end alignments and shocks and struts and tire chains, it's all there. Service to you always reigns supreme. They are the best at serving you for your safer wintertime driving. Stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland in Burley. The best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. We got a great program planned for tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that. We've got from Indianapolis, Indiana, Dave Bego, and he's going to be talking about Mike Pence, Vice President Mike Pence, and what's going on leading into the inauguration. And then we're going to have our legislative update. And tomorrow, I believe it's going to be Representative Fred Wood coming on the program, talking about what's going on in Boise at this 2017 legislative session. And then And look out at 10:06. Yep, for an hour. The big boys here, the Incredible Hulk. And, of course, we'll have the Idaho Fish and Game Report with Kelton Hatch. All of that planned for tomorrow, so don't you miss it. Along with all your telephone calls. And, I might ask you, if you're not ready for another snowstorm, you might get to the store. You might, if you don't already have a snow shovel. And if you don't have the ice melt, you better get those things today, because I don't want to cry wolf, but Gina said that we might see here in the valley maybe between 5, 6, 7 inches of snow. So please be prepared for the mess. Probably going to get hit again tomorrow through Thursday going into Friday. So be careful out there. What else have I got? Not a doggone thing. I do want to ask you to always, if you'd like to tune in, if you're out of the area, and watch and listen to the program, go to zebbell.com and hit the necessary clicks, and you can watch the show right here in the studio and then listen anywhere in the world. And we want to thank our worldwide audience. We get calls and letters from all over the United States. Thank you very much. And then locally right here on K-Bar, 12:30 a.m., and we'll be here again tomorrow morning starting at 8:06 and ride the horse till about 11 o'clock on Zeb at the Ranch. Wheels, good job over there at the main studio. We're going to turn it over to you right now for CBS News, and see you in the morning. And remember, the way things were are the way things ought to be.